Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. I think we're in for a real tough winter. And it's time to get prepared for that tough winter. And I'm thinking that this winter is going to start on November 3rd. So stick around for some thoughts. So unfortunately, I've been watching some of the news recently, and I'm pretty disappointed in what's going on. No matter what time of day you turn on the news and flip through the different channels, you're going to see all kinds of weird stuff. Lots of contradictions, lots of opinion stuff trying to pass itself off as news, and it's really not. And it doesn't matter which outlet you're watching. It could be MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, the regular station channels, your hometown newspapers. It doesn't really matter what the media platform is. There's all kinds of stuff that's really being reported as news that's nothing but opinion. Now, beyond that, there are some very troubling concerns, and here's just a quick look. November 3rd, less than 4 months from now, we have a national election, and there's a ton of seats up for grabs. The Senate is up for grabs, the White House is certainly up for grabs, and the House of Representatives, as usual, is still up for grabs. We're still dealing with this COVID-19 thing, this whole pandemic stuff, and it does appear that we're beginning to enter a second phase of the lockdown. And I'm not 100% convinced that this phase of the lockdowns is really based on true scientific evidence or a full risk assessment. I think that a lot of the stuff that's being opined about on the news is really an effort to extend the fear and panic of the pandemic for as long as possible so that it has an impact on the November elections. The cancel culture bothers me an awful lot. I saw what just tried to happen with Goya Foods. He made some comments at the White House meeting and actually said nice things about the president, and immediately there was a call for a boycott. And thankfully, enough of us conservatives rallied around Goya Foods, and I think they have turned the boycott into a boycott. I've always trusted Goya Foods for good quality beans and all kinds of Hispanic type foods. They really do have a quality product. They're pretty much everywhere, every grocery store, every wholesale club. I think it's a great idea, and we bought some more this week. So thank you for trying to boycott one of my favorite food companies. Antifa and BLM, the controversy surrounding those two groups is evident in the news everywhere you look. The tearing down the statues, the defunding the police, you name it, whatever they're up to. That whole leftist agenda that they're pushing for is really, really unsettling for me. Now, newsflash, I've been a conservative all my life. My mom and dad were staunch Republicans, very conservative. I was raised very conservative, went through high school as a conservative. Back then, Nehru jackets and Paisleys and tight jeans, hip huggers with bell bottoms and stuff. That was the style. I wore cuffed pants, button-down shirts, and wingtips to high school. That's what I wore because I was so damn conservative. And it stuck with me for a long, long time. And there was, I'll admit, a short period of time in my late teens, early 20s that I tended to lean a little bit more liberal, but I got over it pretty quickly. The whole racism thing, I really am getting tired of being blamed for being a racist in every place that I turn, everything that I watch on TV. I've got somebody telling me that white people are all racists and that everything that's ever bad that's ever happened to a black person is because of white privilege, and I'm not buying the argument at all. There's grace and there's forgiveness. I look at the Charleston, South Carolina situation from a couple of years ago where that crazy young fella went to the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, attended a Bible study, and then proceeded to shoot up the whole gang. I don't know how many people ended up actually dying from that, but there was quite a few. And you know what didn't happen after that? There was no riots. There wasn't any statues being torn down. There wasn't any stores being looted. There wasn't anything burned down. The people from that church actually showed grace and forgiveness. It was amazing to watch. It didn't stick around long because I think Antifa and Black Lives Matter has finally infiltrated the good people of that beautiful city in South Carolina and are now involved in creating demonstrations, protests, vandalism, all kinds of stuff in that beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina. But what they showed was grace and forgiveness, and we need much more of that. I've been trying to stay on top of the individual platforms and paying particular attention to the Democrat platform for this upcoming election, whether it's for the White House, the Senate, or the House. And here's what I have found, that they are advocating a fundamental transformation of America. They want to stack the Supreme Court, and that means raising the number of members on the Supreme Court from 9 to 13, maybe 15, maybe even 17, so that once they win the White House and the Senate, they can stack the Supreme Court with liberal-thinking justices that will upset and tip the whole balance of the Supreme Court. That's just the first thing, one of the top things that's on their agenda, and I don't think it's a real good idea. Either way, even if the conservatives and the Republicans hold on to the White House and the Senate, I don't think that stacking it with a bunch of conservative justices is the right thing to do either. 9's a good number. That's what we inherited. That's what we're going to deal with. The Green New Deal, or whatever they want to call it today, Joe Biden was out just earlier this week advocating trillions of dollars of expenditures by the federal government to basically shut down the oil industry, shut down fracking, create all kinds of Solyndra-like corporations that are going to be dealing with renewable energy and all that. And I'm not buying that argument for 1 cent, not 1 second at all. The cry is to defund the police. Well, I think we're starting to see the immediate impact of defunding the police. All you got to do is look inside New York City, look inside Seattle, look inside Portland, look inside Los Angeles, and you'll see what happens when you pull the police off the streets. Crime rates go up, murder rates go up, aggressiveness goes up, and the question for me is why are we as conservatives sitting around and letting this happen? I don't see a whole lot of organized action from the Republicans or the conservatives to deal with this kind of a thing the way it should be dealt with. And I am dismayed about that. Politics is politics. Open borders, reparations, socialism, eliminating life sentences for the most heinous of felonious crimes, closing prisons even, just because it sounds like a good idea to them, I think is one of the reasons. Universal basic income, $1,000 a month per person, $2,000 a month per family. I don't know, but it's on the agenda for the Democrats and the lefty liberals to push on their agenda. Universal basic income. There was a couple of candidates during the primaries in the Democrat Party that were actually basing their whole platform on universal basic income. The thought's not dead yet. Voting rights for illegals and incarcerated criminals. That's on the agenda. To me, that doesn't make any sense. You commit a felony, you give up a lot of your rights. You don't have any freedoms. You're in jail. Maybe if you've done your time and you've accepted the responsibility for your actions and you do your time and you get out, maybe I would consider restoring voting rights to those folks. There's a call to eliminate ICE and the CBP. Customs and Border Patrol, or Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Those two organizations are what keep our border safe and non-porous to the best of their ability. And calling for the dismantling of those two organizations, those two federal agencies, is just crying for disaster, I think. The redistribution of wealth. Now, Biden has already rolled out at least a portion or a view into his tax plans, and it's going to, I think, really hurt the economy. It's going to make businesses double think why they want to stick it out, and it's going to cause all kinds of economic chaos if the Democrats win in November. Immigration reform, that's been on the agenda for a long time. It scares me to even think about who's proposing immigration reform right now, and it's mostly the Democrats. I would love to see immigration reform. I would love to see a real thoughtful, in-depth, quality immigration policy enacted for this country so that everybody here can benefit from the immigrants that do come in. My great-grandparents were immigrants to this country, came here with barely anything except the skills that they knew, and they built a life that was productive. It was just great. They had the opportunity. This is still today the land of opportunity. Let's not take that away. Single-payer health care kind of hits close to home because I spent most of my career in healthcare finance. Universal health care, single-payer systems, Medicare for all, whatever you want to call it, is not going to be the way it really has to be. I did a video maybe a year or so ago about what Medicare for all is really all about, and if you'd like, I can put a link down below to that video if you want my thoughts on that particular subject. But Medicare is not a fair funded financing mechanism for most hospitals and most physicians. It requires the healthcare financing system requires multiple sources where you can balance the losses from one sector with gains from another sector so that you can actually achieve a little bit of positive bottom line so that you can continue to keep your buildings up to date. You can continue to give your nursing staff and your physicians a raise. That's kind of really what it's all about. Most hospitals are 401c3, not-for-profit corporations. There's a few that are stock-traded for-profit corporations, and I'm not talking about them. They can deal with single-payer if that's what they want. But your average community-based hospital, single-payer healthcare is not going to help them at all. And generally speaking, a hospital in a city is the largest employer. And if you cut that out, you're going to create some more unemployment issues. I don't think it's a good idea. Abolishing the Electoral College is also on their agenda. Abolishing the Electoral College is like giving Los Angeles, the whole city or the county, however it's arranged over there, the ability to elect our president. You take Los Angeles, New York City, and Chicago, and those three areas can elect our president if you go by popular vote. This is 50 states, e pluribus unum. Changing what's been defined in our Constitution, that along with the Supreme Court, that along with the threats to our First Amendment, our threats to the Second Amendment, I think we're headed for a real tough winter. So in closing, what can you do? There is a window of opportunity, and I've discussed it on a most recent three videos. There's a window of opportunity right now. After that first shutdown, you couldn't find certain items in your local grocery stores. Meat products, eggs, paper products, those kinds of things pretty much vanished. A lot of different reasons for a lot of the different market sectors in that. Transportation was one, manufacturing was another. But what's happened in the last few weeks is it's started back up again. We were just at the store this morning, and the whole paper aisle was full again. Toilet paper, paper towels, napkins, all that stuff, that very convenience type items that we've all pretty much grown used to, but it was fully stocked. There was meat in the meat coolers, there was canned vegetables everywhere, there was eggs and milk and all kinds of stuff. Never knew a train hit us, but it's not going to last long because they're going through the second wave, if you believe it's a second wave, and I'm having a real difficult time trying to find the truth on that, whether there's a second wave or not. But the lockdowns are happening, and that's going to cause the second phase. So what can you do? Be prepared now. Take advantage of this window of opportunity. Stock up on your food as best you can. Stock up on alternate sources of water. Get yourself water purification and sterilization. Get yourself water filters. Yeah, they're expensive. Some of them are. The Berkeys are particularly expensive, $250 to $300. Well worth the investment, in my mind, to make sure that you've got potable drinking water at your facility, at your home. Taking care of yourself, making sure that your house is secured, making sure that you've got the right shelter and a means for self-defense. It's absolutely imperative that you use this short window of opportunity that we've got now to make sure you're ready for what happens on November 3rd. And that's a whole subject for another video, what may happen on November 3rd. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.